hope you guys are ready for some game changers. I've got things here and you want them. I will tell you why. Let me show you two things and we'll start. Thing one, pretty dope. Thing two, really dope. Let's dive in. What's up? Welcome back to Flyride. I am Chris, and for the few of you that are members now on the site, thank you guys so much for taking part in earlier this week's video. That's super dope. I feel extremely complimented that you guys want to have that special access. And for everybody else, this is a video you've been waiting for a very long time. Look, here's a few bags of parts. These are power LEDs from a company in Korea called EX LED. Now, I used to use these parts for years. I made a whole video. I'll put that right there. You can actually, I'm not even gonna link it because then you'll leave this video. Stay on this video, watch what's coming. It's absolutely worth the wait. But I was making parts. This was the first time that I could take a sequencer, like a ghost module, and I could make animated LEDs because of those power LEDs. But it came with a lot of downside, and now those LEDs are gone. You can't get them. So I'm making this video for you because you told me that you want them. But my dude, they're gone. You're never gonna get those LEDs, and that's a good thing. The replacement for those LEDs comes in the form of a little sheet. That sheet gets a bunch of individual bicolor LEDs, which means they can be white, they can be amber, and they can be red. So that means they can be red and white, amber and red, and whatever the third option is that I didn't mention. It's super good. That means that I can have this little LED triangle thing, and I can have all the LEDs red. And when you step on the brakes, they get bright. And then when you hit the turn signal, then they're gonna sequentially zip across, and I can put them on a ribbon cable, connect them to a sequencer. If I want all those reds to be animated, I could do that too. I'm building a set of Lamborghini taillights that I wanna show you as I was putting these things together, soldering each little resistor into place. And I just want you to know, without any big weight, you can buy these things. Well, you can almost get them. Of course, I'll tell you more about that in a bit. But they're not something that's gonna go out of stock and then you'll never be able to get them. I want to bring them to you, talk a little bit about things that you can do, the ideas that you can take out of your mind and put into action, and how you could build anything now. You wanna build those GTR lightning bolts like I have? You can build them with these, and it won't cost you that much money. Okay, so I mentioned that we have the sheets. Those sheets break down into smaller parts. So we can have these little cute individual modules that each have 4 LEDs on them, or we can have these little strips. Now this is probably stupid and I shouldn't do it, but I'm gonna do it for you because I love you. I'm gonna break this strip in half right now before I've soldered all the LEDs to it. It's harder to do it that way. It's kind of easier to work with it on at least a couple different rows of these, like I'll show you in super fast motion in a second here. But I've prepped this strip. Now I can make this a super long strip now. I can do whatever I want to do. If I want to reinforce it so that it's stronger, so that the little sections don't snap off from each other, I can run connecting wire on the back side of it so that it just beefs up those little joints. I can do a lot of stuff with this. I can make crazy shapes, including a shape perfect for this Lambo tail. Let's see what this thing looks like with some animation behind it now. I've been trying to be as creative as I can be, and check that out. Crazy bright, super bright turn signal. Imagine how amazing it's gonna look when I've got all 6 of these things hooked up, 3 arrows on one side and 3 on the other. But here's the cool thing, is I've actually set them up so that I have extra function. So I've got the super bright, oh, the camera's just dimming down because it's just too bright. So that's the brake light. But I want to make use of this single wire that I have here that's giving ground to the red LEDs there that are all joined together. So I am going to hook up this PB module, also from Corso Motion, hook it up to that one red wire, which will turn that arrow, as well as the other ones once I finish them, into a fully functioning brake and running light mode, and they will still work perfectly with this crazy bright turn signal. Okay, now if you want a super in-depth video specifically showing you how to take these little tiny boards and solder on all of the individual LEDs, it's really small, finite work. It's kind of boring. If you want it, let me know in the comments section below. Check this thing out up close and personal. I have it set right now so that the camera is not being completely blown away, but I could set it in a mode. Let me just do that really quick so you can kind of see what would happen if the camera is not adjusting based on this brightness. You kind of get a little bit better idea of what my eyeballs are seeing right now. But the reality is just, this is a super bright set of LEDs that are on there, and each one is crazy bright. So let's take a look at the backside. Let you see kind of what I did here. You can tell right in the middle, right there, right where those three legs come together, you can see how I've run some wires that are actually bridging the power connection on the circuit board. And then I've individually run parts of the ribbon cable that are plugged into the Ghost sequencer, and I've run those to the grounds, and then I also joined up just the red LEDs, and that's why all at once we've got red LEDs. We had red on because red was joined all together. There was no individual red channels. There could be, but I set them up like this to bridge them so that I could have this together. Now I'm going to hook up this last wire here, which is going to turn it into parking light mode, and then I'll do the turn signal on top of the parking light being on. Check that out. It's so crazy. So you've got that nice bright red, but then with the sequential on, it's like overpowering the red, but it looks so good. It's crazy. So I played around with some stuff where I turned on the brakes, which I can kind of try to do right now. Let's see if I can do it. Boom. Here's the super bright red, and I'm gonna do sequential amber on top of that. And like, I gotta say, considering that's so ungodly bright as it is, that looks pretty good. I shot some footage as well with the covers on there so that you could kind of see how that looks. And I don't know, overall I'm just blown away by these LEDs. Okay, let me take the camera out of this mode so we can actually see a little bit closer. And just like that, the camera hides the awesomeness that these LEDs have, but that is another look at what the brake lights on plus sequential signal looks like, and it's going to look so much more dramatic with it on all of those arrows at once. And if this video is bringing you any value, smash the like button for me. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, do that and hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any uploads. And join if you want to see some of the behind the scenes stuff, including our live streams. All right, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna show you what I figured out earlier. I had to kind of come up with an idea because I had something that was made to send positive signals, and I needed to make it so that it was taking ground signals instead. Here's how I did it. Okay, so I may or may not lose some of you right now, but this is a very, very cool thing that I had to kind of figure it out. I was asking Jin about this because his PB module is made to send power through it, and when you send power from the brake or power from the parking light, it uses diodes and resistors to dim that output or let it go full force. So the problem was that I had to hook up all the wires on here so that you give ground to the part to turn on the red. And unfortunately, because everything was wired up to send power, it didn't work. But all I had to do is switch two little diodes backwards, flip them 180 degrees, and now that allows ground to go through and not backfeed into the system. So we're good. So I basically have turn signal that runs alongside the parking light and the brake light, and it actually looks really good together. Stay with me here. I'm gonna show you a test. This is gonna be a regular bulb that can only do one mode. It can only do bright red. And then we've got the same exact type of bulb, but it has two modes. It has dim and it has bright. That's built into the 7443, and the 7440 is the same in every other way besides it doesn't have a dim mode. So enter the PB module. This module will allow us to have power and ground come in for the brake, but it will also have us have a third power in for the parking light. And now it has an output, and because it has a resistor on board and it only lets the circuits flow in one direction and not go backwards, that means that your brake wire and your parking light wire can never become twisted and joined together, because that would mean every time you step on your brakes, all the parking lights turn on, which is no good. So a diode limits that. It acts like a little valve. The power can go this way, but it cannot come back that way. So that will allow us to do what I'm going to show you right now. If I hook up power and ground right here, that's the same thing as if I hook up power and ground right here, because it's just letting that power pass straight through directly to the part. So I'm going to say power, ground, and I'm going to plug in our 7443 bulb. As you can tell, it's nice and bright. Now if I take power off of this and I plug it into the other power input on the bulb, now it's dim. So it's dim right now. It's hooked up to the extra little wires on the bottom of it, and now it's bright because I gave it a full shot of power to the other wire. Okay, that's how these bulbs work in your car. But what if you only have 2 wires on that bulb? Well, now nothing's lit up when it's connected to this wire, and we have bright. So we only have one mode. It doesn't have a dim mode. So because of that, we're using those 2 wires to go through a PB module, and the PB module is the thing that's going to give us the dim light. And so now this 2-wire bulb has dim and it has bright. As a matter of fact, the dim is dimmer than when we have this guy hooked up. So I actually think that this makes a much more pronounced color change from parking light to brake light mode. And so it's super cool that it can do that. Now, if you want to do what I've done and you're going to use this to change ground instead of to change power, then you have to take those 2 little black boxes and flip them 180 degrees. Because if you have power going this way, it's not going to let power go that way. But if you try to do that with ground, it will stop as soon as it hits the black box. If you flip the black box 180 degrees, now ground can go this way, but it can't go back that way. So that is how we are going to control this triangle to give it fully sequential and red, bright, and dim mode. And one last option that I had in my head, it was for my guy JP with the taillights. Now, if you don't know anything about that, I want to link some of his information up as well, because he has a Lamborghini Gallardo that he's doing a motor transplant, a 4-rotor swap from all you Mazda guys. Yeah, he's doing a 4-rotor in a Gallardo. Crazy, right? And so these taillights should be probably pretty crazy too. And I actually went more on the practical side, where we've got dedicated parking light and brake light that it is running kind of on its own thing aside from the Ghost module, and then the Ghost module controlling all the amber LEDs. What we end up doing is hooking up all the red LEDs to their own channels, all the amber to their channels, and then having just this crazy galaxy of options, 4+ show modes, all this stuff. And if we do that, we need 4 Ghost modules per, and if we do that, we need 2 Ghost modules per taillight, so 4 total. That would be wild stuff. Let me know what you think, if we should go balls out or if it's going to be cool enough with all the animated turn signal, show mode 1, show mode 2, and some other stuff that I can pack into that with only 1 Ghost module per light. And I don't know, my brain is fried trying to figure out all these crazy things, but I want to show you. Take your creativity, make it happen. Just get your hands on these parts, solder them all up yourself. You don't have to wait. It's all stuff that's now available. These are the prototypes from Korea, and we've got a whole bunch of black circuit boards and white circuit boards on their way here. And just say a prayer for all the people in Asia that are dealing with the craziness, because that's slowing down the whole industry. So I'm sure there's something that I can link up and send you to help support people that are being affected by all of that right now. I didn't even think about saying this until right this second, but there's got to be something that we can do, because we're all affected by it. If we're into this automotive LED stuff, and all these parts are coming from China, and a lot of the workers in the Korean factories are Chinese, and I'm sure that this is affecting globally, this whole thing with automotive lighting. So let's find out if there's something we could do. I don't know. We'll talk more about that in emails that I will put together. So if you're not subscribed to the email list, hop onto flyride.com, get plugged in, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time.